Listen to the whisper of the universe. Listen to the whisper of the universe.
I like your background and your chair. It's very Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, my backgrounds are my squirrels, because I'm Skwirl.
All right.
And my chair?
Chair is very Alice in Wonderland-esque, kind of, I don't know.
It's
I
my
like
gamer chair.
I like
I'm a gamer
it.
girl.
I like it. Why do I think of who's the director who did the new Alice in Wonderland films? Oh God.
All I know is there was a Johnny Depp.
Right. The director of that film.
Oh, who directed the Alice in Wonderland film with Johnny Depp?
Beetlejuice.
Tim Burton. Yeah.
Chair and the background just scream a Tim Burton film to me. I love it.
That's where I belong with my squirrels. Almost reached out to pet them, but they're not real. So
Okay, I won't interrupt again.
oh, you are more than welcome to interrupt me. This is your time. This is showcasing you. When I ask questions and you're answering, I will try my hardest to be quiet. But if I get excited, I do interrupt. So apologies in advance.
All right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pomegranate Groves Deck of the Week. I am so excited to be here with Erik C. Dunne, the creator of the Tarot Apocalypsis and the Tarot Illuminati. Hello, Erik.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. I'm about to explode. So if I get super hyper, you have to forgive me.
Well, I'm glad we're not sitting across from each other then.
Yeah,
just in case you explode.
Oh, no, yeah, that would be gross. There would be lots of coffee.
Myself as well.
No. Oh my gosh. Today we're going to be concentrating on the Tarot Illuminati, though I have to say I love both of the decks. Are there any decks that I'm not aware of that I need to, go hunting for?
Yeah, no, the only two that are on the market right now are the Apocalypsis and the Illuminati. But I'm working on an oracle as we speak that is coming along rather nicely, but probably a year down the road.
Worth the wait.
For release, yeah.
I will be first in line for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I
want to try my hand at an oracle because it's not structured. I can do whatever I want, right? So, as opposed to tarot, which has very firm foundation and guidelines, in my opinion.
Yes.
And it needs to be followed rather closely in terms of how you illustrate. But oracles, I can do anything I want, right? My imagination can go absolutely mad, and nobody can say it should have been this way or that's, like they do with my tarot.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay, yeah.
So the Tarot Illuminati, that came first, and this was I've got the signed copy right here on my green screen.
Yes you do.
Oh yes, I do.
You.
My husband bought me that for Christmas a couple of years ago, and I was blown away.
I think I remember.
Really?
It's signed, is it not?
It's signed. It was wrapped in gold foil paper.
Of course,
I got a thank you card here.
Yes. I don't play around, girl. If you want, if you take the time to contact me and request my work signed, I remember. That means a lot. That means a great deal to me.
Oh, this is like one of my greatest treasures. One of my absolute greatest treasures.
Wow.
And my husband and I were so blown away by the care that you put into the package. Everything about it was just I was squeeing. Like
Oh, if you're going to do something, right? Why not go a little over the top, right?
It was epic.
Epic. Wow.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
goal accomplished.
Oh, I was telling you earlier, I read with my Morgan Greer for about 30 years
Lovely
before
deck.
I didn't even know other decks existed. I had no
Lovely deck.
idea I was allowed to buy my own decks. Paul's probably upset that I do now. But I retired it because it was tired. It was old. It needed a break. And I bought in 3 years time, I don't know how many decks. Oh, deck after deck after deck, trying to find a deck I could read with. After I even rebought the Morgan Greer. I could not read with anything. And then one of my friends told me about the Tarot Illuminati.
That is how Illuminati came into existence. That very scenario you just described.
Really? Tell me.
Oh my God. For 30 years, I collected decks and could never find the deck. I could read with them, but I could never find the deck that was the end-all, be-all deck for me. Some element was missing in every one,
Yes.
and loved the artwork, but they missed something here. I didn't connect with it in this way or that way. And the only solution was to create my own. Tarot Illuminati was never supposed to be published.
Really?
It was never designed to be published and sent out into the world. It was my personal tarot deck I was creating for myself because I couldn't find a deck that had everything I felt a deck needed. And then when it appeared when I started sharing it in my Deviant Art gallery, the artwork from it, people started to pick up on it and say, "Oh my God, you're a selfish bastard if you don't publish this and you keep it to yourself," right? And they beat me up pretty bad, and I gave in, and that's why you have it in front of you today. But it was never intended as a mainstream share it with the world kind of thing. I'm very glad I did, but it wasn't created with that in mind. And I think that has a lot to do with the way it reads, because it wasn't created with marketability in mind. It's created with what I need to read effectively and what I appreciate in tarot, to shine a light on that.
And I truly believe that the only perfect deck anywhere is one that we can create ourselves. Unfortunately, I have absolutely no artistic ability, so it's not going to happen with me. So
well, a lot of the decks out there are by people who have absolutely no artistic ability. So
a lot of people trying to get me to make a squirrel deck. I don't think I could read with a squirrel deck.
I've been asked to add the squirrel card to my deck.
I was so happy when that became a thing.
Yeah, right?
I wanted to make my business name.
I don't even know what it really, I'm not even sure I understand what it means. The squirrel card, like, is it just like a random?
It was a Simpson episode. You familiar with The Simpsons? And Lisa and Bart stumbled into this fortune teller's tent in the middle of the woods, and every time the fortune teller would turn over the card, like she turned over the death card, and Lisa would go and the tarot reader would be like, it's okay, it doesn't mean anything, it's just transformation. And then she turned over the tower card, and Lisa was like, and the tarot reader's like, it's okay. So right. She gets to she turns over the happy squirrel card, and Lisa's like, oh, what does that one mean? And the tarot reader's like, I don't know, it's tarot, it doesn't make any sense.
That's where it comes from?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's where it comes from.
All these years I never knew. I never knew what they actually meant by that. I have a friend who has this terrible habit of becoming distracted, and in the mid conversation, words coming out of his mouth, becomes distracted, just kind of stares off into space. And then he comes back eventually, right? And I say, well, where did you go? And he's like, no, I just saw a shiny squirrel.
I love him.
And I
I
don't,
want to be
you
his
know,
friend.
yeah, yeah, he's a funny guy. Quirky, very quirky. But I like quirky
I
people.
I think that's my squirrel mate. That's
It might be. I can't. Okay, now I understand the origins of it.
look for that link. See if I can find the clip of it and send it to you because I
Yeah,
think yeah, it's pretty funny, and I was so excited when it became a thing because hey, squirrel, right?
right,
There should be
right.
a squirrel card.
Absolutely.
But no, with your Tarot Illuminati, what got me? I didn't even know you could look online to see cards. Right? I bought
Right.
them sight unseen because someone said they had gilded edges. I love the shiny. And then I got them in my hands, and oh, they read like a dream, Eric. And that's when my husband ordered me the sign deck because I went nuts. I went nuts. So,
I tell you, I love the bling. I love the bling, but but um but if it doesn't read, the bling is useless, right? If it
I've got
doesn't
some
speak
bling
to you,
cards that just don't read. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, and you can't. There's nothing you can do to compensate for a deck that doesn't speak. You
This
know,
one
and
spoke. I love the rich brocades you used. The colors. Oh,
you know,
everything about them.
I have a background in costume design, which you see in my artwork, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of my all of because it was my deck, it was for me, designed for me. All of my passions and interests are within, like my passion for European history and ancient history, and costume design, and I mean, the little pieces of me are scattered throughout the entire
And
deck. Yeah,
another piece. I'm sorry. See, I got excited and I can't even speak. Interrupted you. Another thing I had never seen before too was the way each suit was a different cultural background.
right.
That was the first time I'd seen that, and I appreciated that so much.
Yeah, most of them are all blonde white people,
Yep.
or all black people, or all whatever, right? And that's just not the world we live in.
No,
It's not
it's
the world.
not.
It's not the world I want to live in. And I think that tarot has become so global and universal and accepted in every culture now, right?
Yeah.
In a big way, that a deck needs to kind of speak to the fact that we are very, very, very diverse, and yet all come together in this common thing called tarot. So
I love it. Yeah, and you show it. You show it. You show everything, the richness of it. I really like knowing that it was made for you. You
yeah,
know
and
what?
that's no joke. It didn't have a name. When I went to,
Really?
when the publisher offered me, when I finally settled on a publisher, and he said, "And what are you calling your deck?" And I'm like, "Eric's Tarot," because that's what it is. It had no name. It had not. Yeah, it was never my plan to publish and share. And after I did, um, oh, I took a real beating online, and for a brief moment there, I was really sorry that I did, because I invested every
What's your heart?
yeah, it really was. And I took a real beating from some very nasty tarot online groups. It was a purple site. Can't remember what they were called, but I think they're no more.
They are no
Um,
more.
they are no more. There you go. I'm still here. I'm still standing.
There.
But yeah, no, some really brutal stuff. And for a brief moment, I was really sorry that I had shared. And then the little stories about how it affected an individual's life started to kind of trickle in, and oh my, I cried every time I would read one. And because I realized I had touched somebody else's life in a really profound way, and never turned back from publishing from that point.
I'm
Sorry.
no, we talked a little bit earlier before we started taping, I'm so old. And I told you how profoundly you have touched my life, your story, who you are, everything about you has made me a better person. What very little I know of you, it's not like, I talk to you every day or anything, but you have affected me, your art, both decks.
Thank you.
The way you present yourself, I follow you on Facebook, and the way you purport yourself, you're always so very gracious. You're always so very Erik. You have really funny, because for a long time I was lost. I was very sad and broken, and following you, getting to know tarot through you, and getting the goals that I've gotten from watching you. Oddly enough, it took an Aquarius to teach a Leo how to be a Leo. You opened the door to me knowing how to be a Leo.
Wow.
So I really appreciate you.
You said you were going through a very difficult time where you were broken, which is a fabulous word. That's another interesting aspect to the creation of the Tarot Illuminati. I was creating it at a period in my life where I was the most broken I've ever been and ever hoped to be. And creating it was therapy and healing for me. As I progressed through the deck and creating each card, it was very therapeutic, and it helped heal all of those broken pieces. So the creation of the Tarot Illuminati itself is firmly rooted in a real journey through darkness into light for me personally.
Which cards, the creation of which cards healed the most or helped the most? What was it in the tarot that sang you into being more whole?
Well, I don't think it was any one in particular. It was the oh God, that's a good question. Not any one card in particular, although cards like the High Priestess, I mean those are cards where you really have to step outside yourself, right? And just become and listen to spirit. That cards like that don't come from this dimension. I mean, you really have to remove yourself from all of this and turn down all the background noise, and tap into something when you're developing a card like that, or the Hermit. Those are two really profound cards for me. My queens are those are really important cards for me, because Queen of Swords in particular, has so many of the she has so many of the attributes I aspire to, right? And so yeah, I can't every card had a lesson, right, in it, every card. And that's something that I find really disturbing about decks that don't concentrate as heavily on the pips as they do on the major arcana, because they're the meat and bones, of the deck, the pips. And And every single one of them has such an important message. There's no such thing as an unimportant card. Just like there's no such thing as a scary card, there's no such thing as an unimportant card. So, yeah, every card in there has a lesson and a journey and a so it would be hard for me to point out what. I'll tell you what though. Five of Cups. If you want to look at a card and know exactly where my head was at that point in time, Five of Cups is the card. And if you look at the Five of Cups, you'll see exactly what I mean.
Is he is that figure? I whenever I look at it, I think the Five of Cups and the Ten of Cups, the gentleman in the Ten of Cups, look so much like you. Was that on purpose? Or
Absolutely.
ah,
That's me. That's
yeah,
where
I
I
could
was.
see you in there.
That's where I was.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
My head's going.
Tarot Illuminati has some really, really great stories behind it, and yeah.
Tell me some.
The name itself. I like a good conspiracy theory, right? I like Dan Brown novels. Actually, I don't read the novels. I prefer to wait for them on film because the novels are a little tedious, but they make wonderful films. So I enjoy all that conspiracy shit. But that's not where the name comes from. So I told you when I had signed a publishing contract, I couldn't sign with the name of the deck because it had no name. And I was as I was finishing up probably the last third or last fifth of the deck. I was polishing off and trying to think of a name. I was trying to name it. I was trying to control it and name it, and nothing worked, And I'm like, all the great names have been taken, and what am I going to do? And I finally one night I got so frustrated, and I think I was working on the High Priestess card at the time, and it occurred to me that this was not for me to name. This was for me to just let it go, and the name would come to me when the time was right, when I was listening with the right set of ears, right? And so that's what I did. I stopped thinking about a name and juxtapositioning words to try and make something clever. That's not how the deck was created. I can't title it that way. So I just gave it up to the universe. About a week later, 3 o'clock in the morning, spot on 3 o'clock in the morning, I sat bolt upright in bed in the middle of the night and whispered, Tarot Illuminati. It was just handed to me in a dream.
That was very High Priestessy.
Yeah. I just gave up trying to manipulate and control and let it happen organically and spiritually, and that's where the name came from. Of course, everybody initially thought it was an intentional choice, a play upon the conspiracy and because it came out during that genre when there was a lot of talk about the Illuminati. The Dan Brown novels were real popular and stuff like that. But that's not the way it happened. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so the universe named it. I just happened to be listening.
I love that you said that. Because the universe, she whispers. She whispers.
Oh yeah.
And you caught that.
You gotta turn down all the background noise to get anything of value and anything that's important. All the background. Part of living on the farm has been so incredible for me because, I lived in New York City for a number of years and I lived in metropolitan settings. And it wasn't until I got the hell out and moved to the country and sat under a tree on my own land, where I knew no one, there was no one else here, that I learned to turn down all the background noise and really listen. So, I think you'll see that in the deck I'm working on now. Maybe, I hope so.
I can't wait. It's like we might have to do an interview where you give us a sneak peek.
We should do a sneak peek. Well, it's been a long time coming because I'm so busy with well, the farm. My God,
That's hard work.
I'm a farmer.
That's a lot. And how? How in
Actually,
the world did you find time to make a tarot deck as a farmer? I live in a farming
I
community. I
wasn't.
know how hard.
I wasn't when I was creating Tarot Illuminati. I still lived in the city. I lived in York, Pennsylvania. I recently moved from Brooklyn, New York, back
Okay.
home to York, and so I was still living in a city. Well, it's more of a town, not really a city. It's more of a town, big town, but a town. But I had a big palatial row home with me and my cats and my dog. That I would just knock around in this house, this big house with these gardens with privacy fencing and everything. So I had my own oasis within the city where I could kind of turn down the noise a little bit and concentrate on my work. But it wasn't until 6 or 7 years ago that I bought the farm and moved out to,
Okay. Okay. That's
yeah,
oof. That's a hard life. That's a lot of work. And
a lot of work.
you what kind of farm is it?
A horse farm.
So it is a horse farm. So
Yeah. I
where I
don't do
come from, we call
agricultural.
them ranches.
Well, it depends on what part of the country you're in, right?
Yes.
Out west of the ranches, Pennsylvania, it's a horse farm.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. You see my big old Texas cup here. That's where I was raised. So,
yeah.
so one
It
of the
feels silly for
things.
some reason. It feels silly to call it a ranch in Pennsylvania. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, there are no ranches in Pennsylvania.
I'll be whispering under my breath. It's a
We don't have any
ranch.
cowboys either. We don't have any real cowboys,
Oh, okay. I guess you
unfortunately.
can't be a ranch if you don't have any real cowboys. So
No.
I'll
Yeah.
send you a hat, and you can be a real cowboy.
Oh. So it's
So,
Hickory Haven.
say
It's
again,
called Hickory Haven.
Hickory
Is
Haven.
is the name of my farm.
So,
Go ahead.
is the entire farm a safe haven for
Yes,
horses?
and wildlife.
Oh,
Wildlife.
please tell us some about
Well,
this.
no. I have family members who hunt, not on my land. Not on my land. So it's meant to be a haven for any creature that seeks or is in need of haven, much like I was.
Oh,
And
that's beautiful.
so um, I have it's a horse farm, but I have a real menagerie. I have rescues of all different types, ducks and chickens and cats um, but the horses are they're my real focus. Yeah.
They. We spoke once about one of your horses, or we typed back and forth. Mickey,
Yeah.
can you tell us about Mickey?
Oh,
Because the way you are with
special.
Mickey, just my heart.
He's a very special spirit. And it's interesting because only 2 years later, he's been with me just over 2 years, and it took 2 years of getting his health where it needed to be for his spirit. I get really emotional for his spirit to really emerge because he didn't have the strength. You could see it in his eyes,
Hmm.
and you could hear it in his breath, and you could feel it when you touched his heart. But he wasn't animated because he wasn't healthy. 2 years later, after resolving all of his health issues, he's top of his game. He's in the best shape he's probably ever been in his entire life, and his spirit now has a a vessel that it can animate. And it's remarkable to watch him transition and watch his spirit just burst through. And there was a day when he arrived here, um, his nose was always an inch above the ground when he traveled. His feet just kind of shuffled along, drug along,
Oh.
um, and and very all of his personality was in his eyes and his very gentle nature. Now it's explosive. I mean, he's cantering around the fields in the morning and he's showing off and he's going, look at me for the very first time, so his spirit isn't quite as humble as I thought it was initially. He's a bit cocky, but in a really wonderful way. He
feels loved.
Yeah. He came to me with it's not technically equine epilepsy, but it's the only thing I have to compare it to. Massive grand mal seizures. And if you can picture a 1,200-pound animal having a grand mal seizure, it's a pretty frightening thing. You know how if it happens with a person, you move all the furniture out of their way, right? So they don't injure themselves. Well, there's not a lot you can do with a 1,200-pound animal, except what you can, and what most people tell you to do, and that's vets included, is get the hell out of the way. If it happens in a building or in a stall or whatever, get the hell out of the way, or you're going to get killed, right? But you can't comfort him that way. You can't comfort him by deserting him.
Right.
And watching him from a distance. And I find that he comes out of them much easier and much more rapidly being comforted with my touch and my voice and my reassurance. I literally have to help lift him to his feet and hold him up for a while until he's back where. So yeah, I don't get out of the way. I don't desert him when he has one of these. I jump right in there and do what I can to kind of make it a softer experience. It's crazy, I know.
You truly no, I find it terrifying, I'll be honest with you, but the way you love not just the horses, but any of the animals that make it to your haven, the way that you give wholeheartedly to make sure that they are safe and cared for, that's not something you see all the time. And I really wanted to.
Unfortunately, you don't see it in you don't see it in boarding facilities and that kind of thing. I mean, you'll see some of it in rescues, obviously, because they're doing it for that very reason, right? But you don't see it, which is why I end up with the horses I end up with, because there is nowhere else for them to go where they can get the kind of care that they need to be complete, to not be broken. And they've all been broken. They've all been broken by human beings. I always say I don't help people with problem horses. I help horses with problem people.
Yes.
Every bad habit, most of the health conditions even are a direct result of their interaction with us. And if I can rewind the clock a little bit and try and repair some of the damage done, then my God, that's what I live for. And so far I'm batting 1,000 because I have a tremendous success story with every single horse on the farm, and they've all got very different issues.
Now, do the horses, do they stay with you? Do they ever go back to the people who brought them to you, who didn't know how to care for them, and you teach them how to care for them? Or do they stay with you?
When I first started doing this, I lost 7, 8 horses, because the people that came with the horses, I couldn't have them on my land. I couldn't have them on my land, which meant their horses couldn't stay.
Mm.
And yeah, it was heart-wrenching because I didn't know where the horses were going to go, you know. No, they weren't the kind of tragic cases that I started taking on after that. But I had I had to get rid of certain horses in the beginning because I couldn't handle humans. The horses were never a problem. The horses have never been a problem. It's the humans that are so god awful and difficult to manage or tolerate. And I don't know if you've noticed from my social media presence, but I'm pretty outspoken. I'm not real good at sugarcoating anything. I have no desire to sugarcoat anything for anybody.
I like that about you.
So, you know, so in the beginning it was kind of rough. Now, everybody that's been, everyone that's here, is here for the long haul. I don't see them. No, I don't see them walking off my farm.
No. Oh, yeah, I imagine you get attached to each and every one of them. You have a special bond to everybody who comes onto your farm for your help.
Yeah.
So
I had just recently in the last week or so, I had have a horse. His name is Chance. And a familial relationship that this horse was kind of caught in the middle of was threatening to tear him off of my sanctuary and into a lesson program school environment with hundreds of kids climbing up and down on him, tugging on his mouth, kicking him in the ribs at 27 years old, mind you.
Oh.
You know, and it was the first time I've really had to stand up, put my foot down, and say, no, this is not happening. He's not leaving my farm. And it was very difficult because legally, I can't do that. Legally, I have no right. However, from a ethical, moral, and advocate for the animal standpoint, I was relentless. He was going nowhere. Screw your family conflict. You should have dealt with that years ago. And he's not a pawn in it, right? So, having no legal footing to stand on whatsoever, he remains with me and will remain with me.
Good.
Forever. Because I'm that diehard advocate and terrorist, if I have to be, on the animal's behalf. You know?
They can't speak for themselves. They
can't.
need you to be able to stand up for them.
We domesticated them, and then decided that what we wanted for them was what's important, as opposed to what's best for them, and that cannot be.
No.
That cannot be. They became our responsibility. It became our responsibility to put them in an environment where they flourish. You know, not beat them down, break their spirit, and have them do what we require them to do.
No,
that doesn't mean they can't be brilliant show horses. That doesn't mean they can't pull a plow. You know, they love jobs. They love to have a job. It's all the other stuff that people don't. Yeah.
You got to make sure that it's a job suited to them too. I mean, with Chance,
Exactly.
27 years old, being in that school environment with those children all over him would have been really detrimental to his mental health and his physical health.
Absolutely, and his temperament. He's very intelligent. He's very clever. He's one of the few horses I've ever encountered that can plan. Has the presence of mind to plan step by step by step for an eventual goal, like how to get out. How to get out of the turnout or the enclosure that he might be in. He's very, very smart. So it either would have broken his spirit, but I think it's far more likely he would have broken a kid before it broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they weren't doing. They weren't considering their whole. They came to me actually with this. That was their whole plan. They came to me with the narrative that horses need jobs. Happy horses have jobs. We have a job for Chance. And I listened, and I said, you're right. They are happier with jobs, but not every job is suited for every horse. You need to think about what horse you're asking to do what job and whether or not it's a good fit. Chance, absolutely not. He's not going to become a school horse. Yeah, so, yeah, people, they don't spend an awful lot of time thinking about what's in the best interest of the animals in their care. So,
Well, I'm glad that you got their backs because
girl,
it's just oof.
me and my 12 gauge. That horse is not leaving my farm.
Chaz is going like, yeah, I'm on the right farm.
I'm
And you
telling
know
you.
they love you. Do they perk up when they see you? Like,
Oh, you better believe it. I'm the only one who can walk out of the barn, walk out the back door of the barn to the large turnout, and just holler. And I have a stampede coming from four corners.
you're gonna have
I'm the only one
to videotape that for us.
I need to do that. Yeah. I will do that.
Show us. Yes.
It's the funny thing. Everybody says, "Eric, you should take this and do it." I never have my phone when the most miraculous things happen, and I never think to grab for a camera or what. I just kind of, I'm too caught up in the moment and experiencing it, to think about grabbing a. We are in that age, aren't we? Where,
Yeah.
yeah,
We
yeah.
we
No,
did
they
an
do. I have a very
astro.
special relationship.
When you said caught up in the moment, we did an astro tarot today, and for the fire, well, I was the oracle, and for the fire, I got a hummingbird that was like, "Be here now." Nobody needs to tell you. Nobody needs to tell you that.
Have you seen my hummingbird photos? Have you seen my
No,
hummingbird photos?
no, I have not.
I rescued a hummingbird that I found on the floor of my barn 2 summers ago, dying of exhaustion. And
Oh,
I picked him up and I put him in the palm of my hand and I carried him down to the garden and held him while he gathered nourishment, nectar, from clematis, blooming clematis. And then I held him for, I don't know, God, it felt like an eternity, but it was probably only about 20, 25 minutes, whatever, until he regained his strength. And then he just kind of sat up and he looked at me and we kind of exchanged glances and he did as hummingbirds do, and just hovered for a little while and hung around with me for a little while. And then off he went. But it was the most incredible being in the moment experience. Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
reshare? Can you repost some of those?
Yeah.
I'm
I have
asking you all
still
kinds
photos.
of things. Do this, do that.
I have still photos of him. Yeah, I have still photos of him in the palm of my hand.
Oh, yes, I would love to see that.
Yeah. That's funny you
Oh,
brought that up because I have a hummingbird story too.
and that was a totally in the moment story.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, Eric, I could keep you here all day. I've got about 100 more questions for you.
I know I know, right? I'm yours. What
Oh,
time is it?
it is
Oh my God.
already. Yeah, we've been here for a minute. So I'll tell you what though, not right away, but I'll hit you up for another interview at some point because
Okay.
this was amazing. And we still have to do Apocalypsis and the sneak peek for your your new oracle.
We went off on this on the farm, Hickory Haven, kind of. Yeah. But it's my life, right?
It is. It's part of your
So,
life. It's part of who you are, and I like I like hearing about it, and I know other people will too. It's
and if you think about the Tarot Illuminati and the horses in the deck,
yeah,
pretty obvious that I would think it's pretty obvious that I have a real passion for
it
the
is.
equine.
It is now. They're um when we do a definitive card meeting series, me and Mandy, another Pomegranate Grove member. And when I brought your son from the Illuminati to that recording, because we bring our favorite cards from any deck
Okay,
to
and you said which one?
the sun.
The sun.
The sun,
Okay.
and Mandy went nuts over that. Well, the entire card, but especially the horse, because the horse in the Rider Waite looks like it's put out like, get this kid off my back, I'm about to buck him. But your horse is just so majestic and like it's bowing to that child on its back, and it feels grateful to be a part of that child's life. Am I misinterpreting that, or am I
Not at
seeing
all.
that?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Beautiful.
There's a mutual love and respect and humbleness to that relationship, I think.
And I do have to
Yeah, the
ask one
horses
more
in
question.
go ahead.
How long did it take to put this deck together? It's actually like 12 questions rolled up into one. How long did it take? Did you have any time constraints from your publisher? And what modality of art did you do?
Okay. Time, 3 years.
Okay.
3 years from
I thought it
3
would
years
take
from
longer.
start to finish. 3 years from start to finish. Time constraints from my publisher. That's funny because initially I started talking to domestic publishers here in the United States, and it was all about constraints. It was all about tying my hands and sucking up my copyrights and then making final decisions about how my work was going to be displayed, what border they were going to put on the cards, and all that crap. It was only when I spoke to a European publisher who really understands how an artist's brain, they respect an artist for being an artist and understand how they relate to the artist, that they said, look, here's the deadline in the contract, but we understand you're an artist, and I said, good, because that's not written in stone. Any deadline for me is written in sand, and I'll go like this and rewrite it whenever I need to. You need to understand that. Los Scarabeo, my publisher, fantastic, brilliant, fantastic. They gave me my all decision-making capacity in anything having to do with the deck. I have final say. I didn't have to give up any of my copyrights. Yeah, I know.
Thank goodness.
They really respect the artist and what the artist puts into a deck, and treat you thus. So yeah, I'll continue publishing with Los Scarabeo until I am no more, because they're just that fantastic and supportive, and oh God, they're brilliant guys. What was the other question?
And what type of art did you paint? Did you use?
I work digitally.
Digitally.
I work digitally.
I can't wrap my brain around that.
Well, it's a combination of painting and drawing and image manipulation. It's all of these things. You're just doing it on a computer monitor, with a mouse or stylus, as opposed to a brush and canvas but I was traditionally, until I discovered digital, which was about 6 months before I started Tarot Illuminati. I worked traditionally as an illustrator and painter, mainly acrylics, and pen and ink. My mother is a brilliant artist, illustrator. My father was an incredibly talented artist, sculptor. So I had a formal education in the traditional mediums growing up.
Oh,
So I have all
wow.
that too, but I prefer to work digitally because there just isn't anything I can picture here that I can't create digitally that I oftentimes struggled with in a more traditional medium.
Okay. Like those, like I was talking about the brocades on
Uh,
the costumes and the details that just above and beyond beautiful. I it, I was thinking that had to take him years and years. 3 years. I'm surprised at the
well, and
detail.
when you focus on like a detail like that, that's the beauty of working digitally, is that you can reproduce and reproduce and reproduce and reproduce like a pattern, right? So what would have taken me a decade to do by hand, I can do in 20 minutes digitally, and then go back and erase what portion of it I didn't care for and redo it. The ability to self edit working digitally is fantastic. You know, you work in traditional mediums, you make a mistake, a big blunder, um, and there's a point where you can't go back, right? You can
Right.
only erase so many times before the paper starts to scab and you've destroyed digitally. You can go back step by step by step by step by step, and it's an incredible way to work, and you work in layers. Like every image you see has, for example, let's say the High Priestess. The actual piece of artwork probably has 36 to 38 different layers of work combined into the final image that you see.
Whoa.
It's really quite something. To watch somebody work digitally it's fascinating. Um, yeah, so I prefer this medium now.
Do you have any of that? Like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Like, from beginning to end, documented or like
Like
layered.
like a video of a piece progressing from uh, conception to fruition kind of thing. No, no, but it's probably something I should do though, because it would be really interesting, wouldn't it?
That would be fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, and I actually have the dear friend that I'm collaborating with on my Oracle, Matt Suter. He's writing the text to go along with the images, and or I'm not sure the images go along with it. We're so together on this that I don't know which comes first, the text or the images, or they just happen at the same time, kind of thing.
Mm.
But he's a filmmaker, so he would know how to put something like that together that could be shared, even if it was like time lapse, like really really fast.
That's what I was
Uh,
thinking. The time lapse.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that would be cool.
I would
I have
love
to,
to
I have
see
to think,
that.
I have to think about doing that. Yeah, absolutely.
Please.
I'll tell you what though, back on the traditional mediums as opposed to digital, here's the thing that a lot of people don't get. They think that digital is a walk in the park, right? It's easier. Um, uh, eh, it's cheating. It's all that garbage. If you don't have a firm foundation in concepts like color concept or color theory, composition, anatomy, all of these things that a traditional artist requires to produce really magnificent work, you don't have those things going into digital art as well, you're going to fall flat on your face. So I don't think,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you still have to have the skill, and it's a whole new skill set too. That's really quite daunting when I think about what I had to learn to do this.
When you said you had learned about it 6 months before you started the Tarot Illuminati, I was like, what?
I was still learning. I was learning all the way through that deck. That deck was like a
Wow.
schoolroom for me. Yeah.
Oh, and talk
And
about color composition.
composition, color theory, you know, and tarot. Then your image needs to tell a story. It's tarot, for God's sake. You know, if you know, digital doesn't help you do that. Digital doesn't create the story and show you how to, you know.
No, you did that.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, do you actually have people say that digital art is an art?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Not so much anymore. Not so much anymore. But it's funny too. There's a woman, she's European, and she was commenting on one of my threads about the fact that I work digitally and how that's not real art. That's not real art. So I kind of snuck in the back door behind her and went and looked at her her Facebook page, which was riddled with digital art that she thought had been created in more traditional mediums. So she was displaying it and celebrating it as magnificent art, right? Without any comprehension of the fact that it was indeed digital art.
I wouldn't have known yours was digital art. I really thought, I mean, you had to make those. You still had to put it together.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's illustrating involved, there's painting involved, there's shadowing involved, there's yeah, I mean,
you made the patterns in the brocades.
Sorry?
Every single, did you made the patterns in the brocades, or
I manipulated patterns or but not necessarily, not fabric patterns, like patterns from nature or patterns from my God, Christ, toilet paper if I chose to. You know, just
yeah,
a pattern.
they have little patterns on them.
Right? They do. A pattern, a wallpaper, a pattern that spoke to me, you know, that inspired me, that I could take and manipulate into my use and my own put it to work for me. Yeah.
See, I
did
find
not.
that
I did not sit and illustrate the patterns on the fabrics. No. I'd like to say I did, but I cannot stand a hypocrite or a liar. So no, I didn't.
I
Because that would have been 15 years in the making.
Yeah, that would have been yeah, several decades.
So you're gonna
it's
end up editing. Huh?
It is art. I mean, period. It's art. That you're the one who, I love the way you said, manipulated that into pictures that we look at and go, wow.
There are a lot of patterns that I pulled from nature, like a fern leaf, for example, and I'll reproduce it. And I can do that really quickly digitally. It's still my pattern.
Yeah, it's still your idea put into the paper, into each little, the details. To me, I can spend hours looking at one card and just seeing something beautiful everywhere, every little centimeter that my eyes go over. And they really speak to me that you put so much thought and dedication into them.
And every detail, there's a reason that detail exists within that card. Now, what you see in it may not be what I saw in it. What somebody else sees in it may not be what I or you saw in it. And that doesn't matter, because they see something. It says something to them, right?
Yes.
It may not be the exact same message or not said in the same words, but every detail is part of the story. It's part of the narrative. It's part of the, yeah. You're going to edit this interview, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Wow, good luck.
It's going to be a long one because there's
Good
not
luck.
going to be anything I want to leave out.
Good luck. My gosh. I don't envy you that job. Self-editing. God, that's a chore. Your artwork. Knowing when to stop. When it's done.
I would never be able to do that because
Very
every piece of it is a piece of you.
It's very difficult.
Wow. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, I used to write poetry and I'd go back and look at it and think, oh, it's fine like it is. It says what I meant it to say. And then people be whatever.
You know, who are they? Who are they and what did they create?
I didn't write
That's
this
what I
for
wanna
you,
know.
damn it.
That's what I
Right?
want to know. Every
Yeah.
critic who pounced on me in the beginning and called my work shite or whatever they awful description they had for it at the time, my response was always the same. Please share the deck you created with me,
Right?
please. Or the one card you've created, share that with me so I know better how to proceed next time. Oh, you didn't create anything except this nasty blurb about my 3-year journey, right?
How to be in, no,
Who are these people?
yeah, people are very brutal and don't even think about the person they're attacking. And like we said earlier, decks are created with the creator's vision of the tarot. Tarot is going to mean something different to everybody. The gods speak to us all in different ways.
Indeed.
You made the perfect deck for you.
Indeed.
And it's
For me.
damn near the perfect deck for a lot of people. But until we can create our own decks, we'll never have the perfect deck. But yours is the closest I'm gonna find.
Thank you.
I should probably let you get back about your day.
Good luck editing this, and if you find that there's anything you didn't get that you need, let me know, and we'll chat again, and you can if there's anything you need that you didn't get out of this, let me know. We'll get back together, and I'll answer any questions you've got for me.
Okay.
I love talking to you.
Oh, this is fun. I hope we do some more. Not right back to back. I won't. I know
Right.
you're a very busy man. Thank you so much. Thank you,
It's
Erik.
fun.
This was a blast.
It's been fun. This has been a moment I've very much enjoyed living.
Good. Yeah, I was a very here and now. And my poor husband, when I'm pinging off the walls, I told him before we started, I was like, I'm going to chatter your ear off when we're done. And he was like,
I
baby.
like your husband for gifting you something so thoughtful.
Yeah, he's a good man. And that was a perfect gift.
I'm
So
working
thank
on
you.
one. I'm working on one.
Oh,
Yeah. You saw him in tech rehearsal.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is
Right?
a good one. He is a good one. He helped us big time.
Right?
Yeah, we wouldn't have had an interview without him.
And so handsome.
Well, let me see his face.
Come on, come here. This isn't gonna get shot out across globally. Before I want to see how handsome you are. How you doing? I get down.
I can only see your beard. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
This is-
Oh yeah.
This is my Boricua.
Beautiful man.
Yeah. That's what I'm working on. This is why the deck is taking longer.
Well, then it'll be so much better deck because you're happy, right?
So true.
Right. So my good man can buy me a signed copy of this next one too. But you both got to sign it so I can see you still
Okay.
together.
All right.
Thank you and thank you. Mwah. This was fantastic.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
All right. I will see you next time, and it will be a next time.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you for engaging with us. Please like, subscribe and share. To book a personal in-depth reading, And to learn more about our incredible courses in tarot and astrology, please visit our website www.thepomegranate.grove.com.